Well, good morning, folks. Well, class is in session. Let's get ready to rock and roll, team. Today's video is all about never, ever, 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 ever. Did I say ever? Do class discussion. Please never, ever, 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 ever do class discussion. You might be thinking, what? Oh my gosh, as a workshop facilitator, I do class discussion all the time. I throw a question out to the group and I say, what do we think about XYZ? Or what's your opinion on XYZ? And I always wonder, why is it always XYZ? But anyway, I digress. So what we need to appreciate is that class discussion can be a very, very quick way to create a mess in your environment. Because the thing is, with class discussion, you have suddenly created a very open frame where one of three things is going to happen, right? And class discussion is very, very, very unproductive. Now, let me explain why. So, typically, due to humans and how they operate, you're going to have one of three types of individuals show up, right? The first one is going to be a dominator. Now, I call this model DNA. So if you're ever doing class discussion, you're going to end up with DNA in your room. And guaranteed it happens every single time. Try and prove me wrong, right? D stands for dominators. D stands for dominators. So they are the people that want to dominate the discussion. They're going to say their opinion. They're going to be really dominating the entire space there, right? So dominators, we can all imagine what they would be like. Very vocal, very enthusiastic, very much wanting to be the star of the show, right? Or the star of the discussion. Then we've got N, which stands for non-participant. Non-participant. And what we mean by those people is that they are not going to say anything, no matter how hard you encourage them to participate. And even if you really push them to participate, they're going to say something, then they're going to resent you for actually pushing them to actually participate, right? So we got dominators, we got non-participants, and then last of all, we've got the activists. The activists. So if someone says, oh, well, I think elephants are fantastic, you're going to get an activist that says, well, no, elephants are not fantastic, right? So you're going to end up, the activists are going to be the ones that tend to disagree with everyone. We call them mismatches. But anyway, we need to appreciate that DNA is something that very organically happens and happens every time you create the class discussion, right? So instead, you've got a choice. You can have some DNA in your room if you want to, or you can avoid it. And the best way to avoid it is actually, instead of doing class discussion, really start to think about how could you do pair share instead. Now, I know it sounds a little technical or a little teachy, but here's the deal, folks. Every time you do pair share, everything transforms. And what we need to appreciate is that pair share is fantastic. So maybe you got a question about, okay, folks, let's have a chat about what is the best animal on the planet. I don't know. I'm just on this elephant rant. So what is the best animal on the planet? And you put people in pairs and you get them to share with each other and they share their opinion on the best animal on the planet, right? Anyway, maybe we're working at a zoo. And then after people pair share, then you do a class debrief. Now, class debrief sounds like, okay, we're now going to hear from one person from each pair, and I'd love you to share what was shared in your group and what came up for you in your group. And you decentralize the conversation, or you centralize the conversation down to each pair, and you get each pair to share. And as a result, each member of the entire group within that pair has felt like they've had time to think, time to share, and time to reflect. And as a result, you're going to find that the energy in the room is a lot more controlled, it's a lot more positive, and then, hypothetically, if somebody says something that maybe is not accurate or you don't agree with, what you can actually do as a presenter is say, Mary, that is fantastic. I'm so glad you said that. And the biggest thing I want you to take away from this discussion or this little segment here is that all animals are perfect and beautiful. I don't know where I came up with that. But anyway, so in a more controversial topic, you can say, that's fantastic. And I'm so glad you said that. And the biggest thing to take away from this segment is, and then you have your overarching statement that everybody agrees with, right? And if you do that, then you're going to have safety in the room. Everybody feels comfortable to share with their partner, and they actually feel rewarded for their contributions as well. On that note, folks, hope you got some value from the video. If you did, like, comment, share. Let's get the message out there and never, ever, ever be doing the old class discussion unless you want to throw yourself into the pit of quicksand of, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this? As a trainer or presenter. Thanks for watching, team. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.